Japan is famous for many things: its bullet trains, its technology, its robots, its incredible attention to detail. But the most fascinating thing about Japan may not be the technology everyone talks about. It is the way Japanese people see everyday life. Because in Japan, some of the most impressive ideas do not begin with a huge problem. They begin with something incredibly small, a tiny inconvenience, a moment of frustration, something most people around the world simply accept. A phone screen protector that never goes on perfectly, a refrigerator door that opens in the wrong direction, a bicycle parking area that becomes a daily struggle, a wet floor after a rainy day. These moments may seem too small to matter, but in Japan, someone always asks a different question. Not, how can people become better at dealing with this problem? But, why should people have to deal with this problem at all? This way of thinking has quietly shaped Japanese design, technology, and daily life. It connects to a deeper Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, the idea of continuous improvement, the belief that even ordinary things can become better through careful observation and small changes. And it is also connected to omotenashi, a Japanese approach to hospitality where you think about another person's experience before they even ask for help. Today, we step inside Japanese living to discover how this mindset transforms simple frustrations into thoughtful solutions. Because sometimes, the future is not created by changing everything. Sometimes, it begins by improving the smallest details. For many people around the world, applying a phone screen protector is a surprisingly stressful experience. It sounds simple, but anyone who has tried knows exactly what happens. You open the package. You clean the screen carefully. You remove every tiny piece of dust you can find. You slowly hold the protector above the phone. You try to align every corner perfectly. And for a few seconds, everything depends on one small movement, one tiny piece of dust, one slight shake of your hand, 1 millimeter of misalignment, and the result is ruined. Air bubbles appear. The edges lift. Dust becomes trapped underneath. A simple task suddenly feels like a test of patience. And the strange thing is, the world has almost accepted this frustration. People simply say, that's just how screen protectors work. But Japan often looks at these moments differently. Instead of asking people to become more careful, Japanese designers ask, can we remove the difficulty completely? This question led to the creation of automatic screen protector machines. The idea is simple. You place your phone into the device. The machine carefully positions the protector. It aligns everything with precision. Then it applies the screen protection smoothly and quickly. No nervous hands, no guessing, no tiny bubbles ruining the final result. You receive your phone back looking almost perfect. But the important part is not the machine itself. The important part is the mindset behind it. The machine exists because someone noticed a small frustration that millions of people experience, something that many considered too insignificant to solve. But in Japanese thinking, small inconveniences are still part of life. And if something affects people's daily experience, it deserves attention. This is why many Japanese products feel different. They are not always designed to impress people. They are designed to quietly make life easier. The best design often disappears. You do not notice it because nothing goes wrong. Everything simply feels natural. And this same philosophy appears inside one of the most familiar places in our lives, the kitchen. A refrigerator is something most people never think about. You open it, you take something out, you close it. Simple. But sometimes, the smallest details create unnecessary frustration, especially in smaller homes. Imagine coming home after a long day. You are preparing dinner. One hand is holding a plate, the other is carrying a bottle or a hot container. You walk toward the refrigerator, but the door opens toward the wrong side. Suddenly, a simple action becomes awkward. You step backward. You move your body. You adjust your position just to reach what you need. Most people would never call this a serious problem. But Japanese designers pay attention to these small moments. Because good design is not only about solving major problems, it is about reducing small difficulties that people experience every day. This thinking led to flexible refrigerator designs, including models that allow doors to open from different directions. The refrigerator adapts to the person. The person does not have to adapt to the refrigerator. And that difference reveals something important about Japanese design. Technology should serve human life, not the other way around. A good product should understand the person using it. It should respect their movement, their space, their daily routine. This idea may seem simple, but when thousands of small improvements come together, they create a completely different feeling of everyday life. A life with fewer interruptions, less frustration, more comfort. And Japan applies this same thinking beyond the home. It appears throughout cities as well, especially in one problem every crowded city understands: bicycle parking. In many cities around the world, bicycles are one of the easiest ways to move through crowded streets. They are simple, affordable, environmentally friendly. But there is one problem almost every city faces. Where do you put them? In many places, bicycle parking becomes chaotic. Bikes are placed wherever there is empty space. Rows become tangled. Sidewalks become blocked. Finding your own bicycle can feel like searching through a maze. You pull one bike forward. Another bicycle moves with it. A few more fall over. And suddenly, a simple trip home becomes a frustrating experience. Many people accept this as normal. They think, this is just what happens when a city has too many bicycles. But Japan asks a different question. Does bicycle parking really have to be this inconvenient? In a country where urban space is limited, this question became extremely important. The answer was the development of automated underground bicycle parking systems. At first glance, they look surprisingly ordinary. There may only be a small entrance above the ground. No huge parking area, no endless rows of bicycles, no crowded sidewalks. But underneath the city is a completely different world. A carefully organized underground storage system designed to use space efficiently. A rider simply places the bicycle into the entrance. The system identifies the bike. Then, through an automated mechanism, it moves the bicycle underground into a secure storage area. Hundreds, sometimes thousands, of bicycles can be stored in a compact space, protected from rain, protected from sunlight, protected from theft. And when the owner returns, the process works in reverse. A simple card or digital system activates the machine. The bicycle returns to the surface within moments. No searching, no pulling through crowded rows, no frustration, just a bicycle ready to go. But once again, the impressive part is not only the technology, it is the philosophy behind it. Japan often designs public spaces around harmony. When millions of people share the same environment, small inconveniences affect everyone. A crowded sidewalk, a messy parking area, a blocked pathway. These small problems slowly change how people experience a city. So instead of asking people to simply tolerate them, Japan tries to redesign the environment itself. The goal is not only efficiency, it is creating a smoother relationship between people and the spaces they live in. And this same attention to shared spaces appears in something even simpler. Something most people experience whenever they enter a clean home, a restaurant, or a store. Shoes. Rainy days create a familiar problem. You walk outside, water covers the streets, mud collects on the ground, and eventually, all of that comes home with you. You step inside a building, you look down, your shoes are wet, dirty, leaving marks behind. It is a small moment, but it creates an uncomfortable choice. Do you remove your shoes? Do you clean the floor afterward? Do you try to walk carefully and avoid making a mess? In Japan, where removing shoes before entering homes has long been an important cultural practice, cleanliness is closely connected to respect. The entrance of a home, known as the genkan, is not just a place to take off footwear. It represents a transition, a boundary between the outside world and the private space inside. Because of this cultural awareness, Japan has developed many solutions that help maintain clean environments. One example is automatic shoe cover machines. The idea is incredibly simple. You step into the device. The machine quickly wraps a protective cover around your shoes. In just a few seconds, your footwear is ready. No bending down, no touching dirty shoes. No complicated process. You can enter a clean space without bringing the outside mess with you. At first, it may seem like an unnecessary invention, but that is exactly what makes it interesting. Great design often begins with things people rarely talk about. A moment of hesitation, a small inconvenience, a problem that happens every day but is easy to ignore. Japan's approach is different. It notices these moments, and it asks, can this experience become easier? This mindset is not about creating luxury. It is about creating consideration, making daily life more comfortable not only for yourself, but also for the people around you. And sometimes, this attention to experience goes beyond convenience. Sometimes, it turns ordinary moments into something memorable. Imagine buying a simple cup of ice cream. In most places, the experience is familiar. You choose a flavor. You take the first bite. You enjoy the taste. Then it is over. But Japan has always had a special relationship with presentation. From traditional tea ceremonies to modern entertainment, there is a cultural appreciation for creating meaningful experiences. This idea has also influenced modern food technology. Some Japanese creators have experimented with holographic and augmented reality experiences that transform ordinary desserts into interactive moments. The ice cream itself may look normal, but suddenly light appears. Digital images move around the dessert. Cherry blossoms appear. Small characters or visual effects create a completely different atmosphere. The dessert becomes more than something you eat. It becomes something you experience. A few minutes of enjoying ice cream becomes a small memory. And this reveals another interesting aspect of Japanese creativity. The goal is not always to replace something familiar with something completely new. Sometimes, the goal is to add emotion to everyday life, to take a normal moment and make it feel special. A simple meal, a short journey, a quiet evening. These small experiences are part of what makes life meaningful. And perhaps nowhere is this idea more visible than in one of the most important places in Japanese homes, the bathroom. In Japan, taking a bath is often more than a way to get clean. It is a moment to slow down, to relax, to separate yourself from the stress of the day, the warm water, the quiet space, the feeling of stepping away from a busy schedule. For many people, bathing is a small daily ritual. But there is one practical problem. The water does not stay warm forever. The first person enters a comfortable bath. Later, the temperature slowly decreases. The next person may not have the same relaxing experience. The solution is simple, but very thoughtful. Heat-retaining bath covers. When placed over the water, the cover helps reduce heat loss. the warmth stays longer, less energy is wasted, and the next person can still enjoy a comfortable bath. It is not a dramatic invention. There are no flashing lights, no futuristic technology, just a simple improvement that protects comfort. And once again, the same pattern appears. Japan notices a small inconvenience. Japan studies the experience. Japan creates a solution, because the purpose is not only to make things faster, it is to make everyday life feel better. When we look at all of these ideas together, something interesting becomes clear. A machine that applies a phone screen protector perfectly, a refrigerator designed around the way people move, an underground bicycle parking system that removes chaos from crowded cities, a simple device that keeps indoor spaces clean, a dessert experience that turns eating into a memory, a bath cover that preserves warmth and comfort. At first glance, these things seem completely different. They belong to different parts of life: technology, homes, transportation, food, personal comfort. But underneath all of them is the same idea. Japan pays attention to the moments that most people ignore, the small frustrations, the tiny inconveniences, the everyday experiences that seem too ordinary to improve. And that is perhaps one of the most interesting lessons from Japanese living. A better life is not always created by one enormous invention. Sometimes it is created by thousands of small improvements. A door that opens more naturally, a cleaner entrance, a faster way to find your bicycle, a warmer bath after a long day, a smoother experience when using something simple. These changes may seem invisible, but when they become part of daily life, people feel the difference. This is where Japanese design has a unique character. It is not always about showing the power of technology. It is about quietly supporting human life. The best solutions often do not demand attention. They simply make things feel easier, more natural, more comfortable. And this way of thinking connects deeply with Japanese culture. For centuries, Japan has valued ideas like harmony, simplicity, and respect for others. A traditional tea ceremony is not only about drinking tea, it is about carefully preparing an experience for another person. A Japanese garden is not only about arranging plants. It is about creating balance and peace. A well-designed, everyday object follows a similar principle. It considers the person who will use it. It considers their movement, their feelings, their time. It asks, how can this small moment become better? That question may seem simple, but repeated over generations, it creates a very different approach to life. A society where details matter, where improvement does not always mean bigger. Sometimes it means more thoughtful. Of course, Japan is not perfect. Every country has challenges. Every society has problems that still need solutions. But what makes Japan fascinating is this habit of looking closely at ordinary life, the willingness to question things that seem normal, because something being common does not always mean it is the best way. Sometimes we continue doing things the same way simply because nobody stops to ask if there is another possibility. Japan reminds us that innovation does not always begin in a laboratory. It can begin at home, in a kitchen, at a train station, in a bicycle parking area, or even with something as small as a phone screen protector. The future is not only built through giant discoveries, it is built through curiosity, through observation, through people who care enough to improve the little things. Perhaps that is the real beauty behind Japanese living, not just the technology, not just the inventions, but the mindset behind them. A mindset that says, small problems deserve attention, small moments deserve care, and everyday life can always become a little better. The next time you experience a small frustration, you may see it differently. A difficult task, an inconvenient design, a routine problem that everyone accepts. Instead of thinking, "That's just how it is," you might ask, "Could this be improved?" Because sometimes the biggest changes in life begin with the smallest questions, and that may be one of Japan's quiet lessons to the world. A better future is not always created by changing everything. Sometimes it begins by caring about something small. This is Inside Japanese Living. If you enjoy discovering the hidden ideas, traditions, and everyday stories that make Japan unique, subscribe and join us for more journeys into the beauty of Japanese culture and lifestyle.